Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Wednesday. It's April 24th, 2024, and this is episode 282. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. I hope you're all doing well and that you've had a good couple of weeks since we last spoke. I am happy to say that I am feeling 100% better, and I want to thank you all for your get well wishes. They apparently worked. I have so many things to show you today. I have knitting, I have cross stitch, I have acquisitions, and I have spinning. Yes, I made yarn, and I cannot wait to tell you all about the spinning lesson that I had with my daughter last week. So you might want to grab yourself something to drink and a project to work on, because I think it's going to be a long one today. Before I get into all the yarny and stitching goodness though, just a reminder, there are a couple of make-alongs that are taking place in the Ravelry group. The first is a year-long chatter thread called Smash the Stash, and then the second of 4 quarterly make-alongs that are taking place this year, Accessorize It. If you're interested in taking part in either of those, head on over to the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group. Check out the first post of each of the pertinent threads, and that'll give you all the information you need to know to participate. I announced the winners for the first quarter of Smash the Stash and the FO and chatter thread for the sweater weather make-along, which was the first quarterly make-along of the year. Did I say I announced them last episode? But I haven't heard from any of the winners yet. So if you participated in either of those MKALs, you might want to check out episode 281 and see if you are a winner. All right, first up, I have a finished project. My big blue butterfly socks. I received this yarn from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. It was the first shipment of the Lepidoptera Yarn and Fiber Club for this year. It's the second round of that club. And this yarn was named for the blue morpho, which is a butterfly that I was so fortunate to see in the Brazilian rainforest back in January. And I just could not believe the coincidence when I opened up my shipment to find this colorway. So I received a full skein of Bounce and then 2 20-gram minis. So the main colorway is called Blue Morpho. This mini is Dark Morpho, and then this one is Ventral Brown. So I decided to just do a pair of top-down vanilla socks. My usual 64 stitches on a 2mm needle. And then this time around I did an Eye of Partridge heel. I thought it would show up well with that yarn. And then my usual rounded toe. And I am really happy because I have plenty of yarn left from both minis and the main colorway to do 2 squares for my blanket of cheer, which I really should get back to because it's been a while since I've worked on it. I'm going to just bring this in closer so you can get a good look at the colors. I know I had some debate last week about exactly what color this one stripe was. In some lights it looks really dark blue, in others dark brown, but I think I've determined that it's a dark brown. There's more of a chocolate brown here, and then a very light gray. So I do look forward to wearing these, and they will remind me of that amazing sight of this butterfly that I had a few months ago. It was like I just still can't get over how enchanting they were. It really did feel like I was in some sort of fairy tale or something. Oh, I should mention, speaking of butterflies, I decided since I had butterfly socks that I would wear a butterfly themed sweater. This is Swallowtail by Jamie Hoffman, which I knit back in, wrote it down here, between August of 2020 and January of 2021 out of 4 colors of the merino sock from Fiddly Dye Works, who is a fairly local to me dyer. I love how this sweater turned out. You can see the beautiful swallowtail butterfly there. Has colorway all the way down to here, plain body, and then has this pattern around the hem and cuffs. So I will provide a link to my Ravelry project page if you're interested in any more of the details, and I will provide links to all of the projects that I talk about today. Also, anything else that I feel like deserves a link, it will be in the show notes. And the show notes can be found below by going below the video on YouTube. You will see it says more, and then there are some dots beside it. Click on that. That will expand the whatever it is. I can't think of the right word. It expands the description bar, and you will find all the show notes there. You'll find links to my Ravelry ID and the Ravelry group and all sorts of things. I have a link to my Instagram. To be honest, I am not really active. I have an Instagram account and I check it out every so often, but I don't really post. But you feel free to friend me or whatever it is you do on Instagram, because you never know. Maybe one of these days I'll actually start using it. All right, I'm going to be turning around quite a bit because all of my things are right behind me on the bed. I'm down in one of our downstairs spare rooms this morning, simply because I do have better light in here at this time of day than I do in my craft room where I usually record. And we have ball tonight, so I wanted to try and get this done early today, so I would hopefully have time to edit it and get it up before we leave. If not, you'll see it by Thursday morning. All right, next up, I'm gonna just put one of these socks on a sock blocker. These are my magical botanical socks. I'm using yarn from Rose Hill Yarns. It's the light fingering in the magical botanical colorway. And this yarn came with a mini. And so I originally was going to do a patterned sock, but all of the green sections in here just obscured the pattern too much, and I decided to just knit it as a plain vanilla sock. So I cast on 60 stitches in this instance, still on a 2mm needle. I did a 1x1 twisted rib and a German short row heel and just my usual rounded toe. So I'll give you a really good look at that beautiful speckled and kind of stripy yarn. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but also in the mini skein there are speckles. It's not just a flat yellow. These to me just scream spring, and at the time that I started them, my daffodils were in full bloom. They are now finished, but these just remind me of daffodils in spring. So I have one sock that far done. Obviously it's finished. The other sock is, again, where do I put things? The other sock is well on its way, and I have completed the entire leg. Last night, I think it's blowing out a little bit in this light. There you go. Last night I put in the heel and then just did a few rounds of the foot. So these should be done before the end of the month without any problem. This is my April personal sock yarn club yarn. So I am trying to knit that up in the month that I open it, and I shouldn't have any problem with that. I actually knit almost the whole leg in just in driving time, going over to Vancouver Island last weekend, which I will talk about soon. And I think I only had 10 more rows till the heel that I worked last night, and then the heel and that. So yeah, shouldn't have any trouble finishing these up. And I'm keeping them in this beautiful springy bag that I received as part of a yarn club years ago, and has a pretty striped lining. Hoping that this lighting is going to be okay for close-ups. It's actually overcast today. After a really beautiful, warm, sunny day yesterday, it's a little chilly today. It was raining earlier. Yeah, we just haven't seemed to have had more than just a few nice days in a row, and then we're back to rain, back to cold. But that's just spring where I live, so what do? You can't control it, right? So, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I had reached a point in my magical botanical socks where I needed to put the heel into the first sock. And we were having some people over, our two sons and their partners, and I just wanted something to cast on, a new pair of socks that I could work on without thinking while we were visiting. So, as usual, I went to my craft room and hummed and hawed over what yarn I was going to cast on. And I decided I would cast on a pair of socks for my husband. So I got him involved in choosing the yarn. And wouldn't you know, he picked this. Boring. He likes boring socks. What can I say? And so I immediately, well, I should show you the yarn label first. It's from Regia. It's all crinkled up in here. It's their jeans style color. That is what the sock will look like. You can see it's not just a flat blue. It's not just a flat blue. There's some variation in there. And this is color 4041, which is Sky. So it was funny because that night I cast it on. I worked one row of ribbing, and then I never did work on it the rest of the night. I was just too busy doing other things while the kids were here. And so I did work on these also on the way home from Vancouver Island, and did my ribbing, and I stalled out on them. Partly because I've been working on my magical botanical sock since then, and partly because I am still debating whether to do some sort of pattern or just a plain vanilla sock. So I'm not sure. So I've got a 2x2 rib, 68 stitches. My husband's been preferring a sock that's a little bit snugger, so I've started doing his socks 68 stitches instead of 72. And again, a 2mm needle. And you can see I have it on a ChowGoo 80 centimeter, 32 inch, and I prefer Magic Loop for all of my socks. So that's how I'm knitting that. And then, so I had just cast on this, you cast on and done that one row of ribbing the Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, I heard a chickadee outside, and I just could not resist grabbing this yarn. Whoops, it's all tangled around my needle. Hang on a second, let's see if I can untangle it easily. This yarn is from Rose Hill Yarns. I don't think I showed you a label for the other one. Let's see if it's in here, easy to show you. Yeah, here it is. Like the magical botanical yarns, there's Rose Hill Yarns. This is the fingering weight. This one, oh, this is actually, interestingly, this is the magical botanical label, which is in the wrong bag for some reason. This is the same yarn, only this one's called Chickadee Trail. I did not get it as a set, I just got it as a single skein. And I like how it's knitting up so far. So again, I just more or less have just done the, oops, I see I've lost a few stitches off it right there, so I'm not going to pull it too much. Yeah, I've just done the ribbing and a few rows of stockinette. In this case, I did 64 stitches. I think what I'm going to do is look for a gray yarn to do a coordinating heel. And other than that, it's just going to be a plain vanilla sock. So these two new cast-ons, new sock cast-ons are just whenever socks. Whenever I feel like it, I'll have some plain vanilla socks, most likely both pairs plain vanilla, to work on whenever I feel like it. And then I will be opening up my May bag for my personal sock yarn club at the beginning of next month. Okay, a lot of chatting already. I'm going to take a sip of yarn, or a sip of yarn. Yeah, you see where my brain is, right? Not sure if I've used this one on the podcast yet. This is my spring David's tea mug, and we are now in this stage where we have dandelions in our yard, and not too many, just a few, and definitely, yeah, there was one that looked like this yesterday in our front yard. Our neighbors don't do any weed control at all, so we will never be dandelion free. We do try and dig them out as we see them in our yard, but we're not like super obsessed with lawn care, as long as it looks half decent. All right, last work in progress is a spoiler. So this is the 24 Birds Mystery Knit Along by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. I'm going to show you all of Clue 4, which I finished up yesterday. Clue 5, oh no, hang on, is this Clue 4 or is this Clue, hang on, it might be Clue 5. Yes, I'm going to show you all of Clue 5, and Clue 6, which is the final clue, comes out tomorrow. So I am making this from 4 different yarns. Before I show you the shawl, I'll show you the yarns. So color A is Sweet Fiber, Sweet Merino Light in the smoke colorway. Color B or 2 is from Jolene Yarns. This is Bella in the Winter Wonders colorway, or Winter Wonders. For a minute I thought it was something about Winter Morning, but Winter Wonders. Color 3 or color C is some Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the Rainwater colorway. And then color 4 is also Tosh Merino Light in the Thunderstorm colorway. Now, I'm not exactly sure how well you're going to see this, Oh yeah, I keep meaning to mention that I chose this feather stitch marker to mark my beginning of round. I just thought it went in with the theme. So, okay, here we go. It's a circular pie shawl, and I've lost track of what's clue 1, clue 2, etc. But there's the center. And then it's faded out from there. Clue 4 featured this panel. I don't know if you'll see in the light. Let me see. The lace panel, there are 24 of them around the shawl, and they are supposed to represent 24 birds. Let me see. It's hard to show you. I didn't think it was going to be this difficult. In fact, I thought, oh, this will be perfect sitting next to the window. There, hopefully you can see them. They are highlighted. And then this is clue 5, working out from there. And then next week, or this next clue, I should say, coming out tomorrow, is supposed to be the edging. So I suspect that we will see more of the first color. So let's see if I can, without losing my point protectors, show you the shawl in full. Not very well, but that gives you an idea. I cannot wait to see this blocked. I think it's going to be amazing. Oh, maybe that gives you a better look at that bird section. I'm hoping. So yeah, it's been very fun to knit. I'm unlikely to wear a circular shawl out anywhere, but I'm just looking at this like a little bit of a lap blanket, I think, on a cool day. Similar to, I know there was I can't remember what it was called, but Helen Stewart did a circular wrap or blanket for Advent one year. And I just look at it like, I can use this the same way, because I will use it. And I guess I can also fold it up, put it double over my shoulders too. But it's been tons of fun to knit. I've enjoyed the process of this very much. This is 100% a process knit. And I'm thrilled because all of this yarn is from my stash. 3 out of the 4 colors are leftovers from other projects, and so I think it's a fabulous use of leftovers. All right, so that is the end of the spoiler for that, and now it's time to show you some cross stitch, which is right here. So I have been working on my Summer Bell Pull by Stony Creek. The was released in the April 2007 I would say episode edition. Neither of those is the right word. Anyway, the magazine that came out in 2007, issue, that's the word I'm looking for. And then it's also available as a leaflet from Stony Creek, and it's leaflet number 322. So I finished S except for the writing. So I'm just going to bring this up close. It's going to cover my face here. And I began U. So what I'm working on here, there's like a flower pot here, and this is a basket that I think has strawberries or something in it. So I'll just bring this up close so you can see what I've done so far. I have been enjoying this immensely. Actually, I just realized we've got another blue butterfly here. So we've got a real butterfly theme happening this week. Yeah, it's been really fun to get back to cross stitch. I mentioned a number of months ago that I found a pair of magnifying glasses that fit right over my glasses, and they have a little light on them. They're very comfortable, lightweight to wear, and that's just made all the difference. So I'm trying most weekday afternoons to sit down for a little while in our downstairs family room. And I have a window right behind me, which gives me super light. And so I just watch some TV and work on this most days. And so I'm actually making some progress. Probably not enough to have this done by summer, but that's okay. I'm just really happy to be working it back into my life. I am going to take a quick pause here to go warm up my tea because it's just kind of lukewarm, and then I'll come back and tell you about my spinning lesson. Last episode, I showed you this BFL fiber from Useful Creations, a local to me dyer that my daughter had purchased on my behalf at Fibers West. I was unable to attend myself because I was sick, but I bought it with the intention that she would teach me how to spin it. Now, spinning is something I have been intrigued by for a very long time, but I've been resisting learning because I already struggle to fit all of my crafting hobbies into my life, and it was yet another thing I would have to try and make room for. Not only that, I knew it also required equipment and a whole new different type of stash than I already have. But not too long ago, my daughter asked me if I would teach her how to weave. And she offered to teach me how to spin. And she thought it would be fun to record the lessons and feature them on each other's podcasts. She has a YouTube channel called The Stitchin Witch, and she is that Stitchin Witch on Ravelry, and I'll provide links for both of those things below. And so I thought, what the heck? It's time to give in to this desire to learn. And so the week before last, I went over just for a visit, and she took that opportunity to kind of go over the spinning wheel, tell me what the different parts are called, and she just got me treadling and getting used to the feel of doing that on her wheel. She has an Ashford traditional. And then last Tuesday, I went over to her house for a lesson, and I spent much longer there than I'd intended. I learned how to put the bobbin on the wheel and how to set it up for spinning, and then how to draft the roving and how to spin it. And then I spun enough onto 2 bobbins that I plied it. And then I came home and soaked it, and I made this yarn. Now, yes, it is my first yarn, and so you could see the very first part of my spinning was there. But by the second bobbin, I was getting a lot more even, a lot more consistent, and the yarn was breaking a lot less often. Or not the yarn, but letting go of the fiber and having it shoot through the orifice and onto the bobbin, and I'd have to feed it back out and start again. So I'm pretty impressed and pleased with some parts of this yarn. Like, look at that. And look at the barber pulling. Everyone talks about barber pulling, and I could see how fun it is now for myself just to watch these colors play with each other. As you can see, there's thick parts and thin parts, and there's parts that are over twisted and parts that are underspun. But I'm really proud of myself for learning, and just, I had so much fun. I cannot express to you how much fun it was. We were sitting there and doing our thing while I was spinning. She was carding some fiber that her friend from Useful Creations had given to her, some locks, dyed locks. And we were having so much fun that she all of a sudden looked at the clock and went, oh, I need to go pick the kids up from school. So she had her own daughter and then a couple of kids that she was looking after. So she went running out the door and got them on time. That wasn't a problem. But yeah, it really was just such a fun day. So I have decided that I am definitely getting a wheel. I knew this is what would happen. This is why I've been putting it off for so long. So her friend is, she does deal with used wheels. And so I'm going to try and get one through her when the right one comes available, depending on what I decide that is. Look at that. Look how nice that is. Sorry, I know I'm boasting, but I'm just so proud of it and just tickled by it. This is anyway, I'm going to put a little bit of video here from the spinning lesson, very little, because most of it was filmed on my daughter's camera. And if you are interested in seeing my whole spinning lesson, I will provide a link to her video. I think she called it something about like teaching my mom how to spin. So yeah, if you're interested in watching the entire lesson, you can check it out there. And if not, you'll just get a little taste of it here. You'd almost think I knew what I was doing.
I think you're doing fantastic.
All right, and there we have it, my first bobbin of hand spun.
We're gonna skein it after this so that Mom can take it home and wash it and set it.
This was the beginning. But you can see it's a little less crazy
throughout most of it.
Through the end.
You proud of yourself?
Yeah, I guess.
You should be.
It was really fun.
You went from that to this, like to double ply yarn to 2-ply yarn in an afternoon. Yeah, did pretty darn good, I'd say.
So I am hoping that spinning will become a larger part of this podcast in the future. Obviously, I will let you know when I get my wheel, and you will see my, I'll take you along my spinning journey with me. So I hope you'll enjoy that addition to the podcast when it happens. And then I am hoping soon to have my daughter over here to teach her how to weave, which I was saying to her, I need to kind of revisit before I teach her, because it's been well over a year since I've warped my loom. So I'm going to give myself a refresher, and then I'll have her over here. And I thought I would just warp up the loom with some worsted weight leftovers and just let her play so she can get a feel of, you know, how weaving works and the use of color and how it can change depending on on how you use it. And so I know she's looking forward to that. So as soon as I do record that, I will put that up as a special episode. And hopefully you'll be interested in seeing that too. All right, on to acquisitions, which is also going to overlap with up and coming and also a little bit with what's been going on in my life. So last weekend, Cameron and I went to Victoria to visit family. And while we were there, we went to Beehive Wool Shop. So I hadn't been since last fall. And when I was there last fall, I had seen a sample sweater that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. And so I decided that this time I was going to buy the yarn for that sweater. It was an added bonus that I had a pretty decent store credit from their points program to put towards that purchase. So the sweater is called No Tails by Versace Knits, and I think that's Lori Versace. And as you can see, it's a drapey, long-sleeved, cowl-necked sweater. And the one in the store was knit from Fleece Artist BFL 2/8. And I decided to go for the same yarn. So I bought 3 skeins of it. There's the label. I bought 3 skeins of it in the Raven colorway. And I'm hoping that in this light, you will be able to see that even though it looks black, there's also some blue in it. I think you can see it here. And so while it will give the overall appearance of being black, the little bit of blue in there will give it some interest, both for how it looks knit up and also for how it will make me feel while I'm knitting it. Because the thought of knitting an entire sweater in a completely black yarn is not appealing. It's interesting because this is the 3rd yarn lately that has had a similar look to it. I had some leftover yarn that I knit into my cowl that was like a black overwashed with dark blue. And then the Madeline Tosh colorway Thunderstorm is also very similar. So just kind of funny how I've been gravitating towards this lately. But I think this is a very classic sweater and classic colorway that I can see myself getting a lot of use out of. Now, something I didn't realize till I bought the pattern is that this sweater is knit from the bottom up and then in 2 pieces and seamed at the sides, and then the sleeves are picked up along the edge and knit down. So you can see it almost has like a dolman shaping to it, which is what gives it that drape and that relaxed fit. So I'm sort of toying with the idea to see if there's a way I could do this in the round. On the other hand, you know, maybe it's not such a bad thing to knit it the way it says to. I'm sure there's a reason it's been constructed that way. In any case, regardless of how I knit it, I am going to be blending these the whole way. And what I'm probably going to do is blend all 3 skeins at once, because I can see from when I laid them out that there's sort of a dark, medium, and a light. And I want to make sure the color, you know, the blue is all distributed evenly throughout. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, no doubt, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. So I am looking forward to casting that on. And even though I haven't finished my Burmese Basic or my Owen sweater, don't be surprised if you see this leaping onto the needles in the near future. Like I said, I've been thinking about it since last fall. And so I don't know if I can resist that for very long either. So I guess the theme of today is resistance is futile. The reason we went to Victoria last weekend was to celebrate my mother-in-law's 99th birthday. Longevity runs in her family. Her father lived to be almost 102. He had a sister who also lived to be over 100 and another who lived to be almost 100. And her own sisters all made it into their 90s. One is still living. And so hopefully that longevity gene was inherited by Cameron and that he lives a long, full life. We weren't able to have a celebration at her care facility, so we took her out to dinner at a restaurant across the street from where she lives, along with some other family members. So we just had a nice, quiet celebration to mark this momentous occasion. The weekend before that, we did a lot of outdoor work. Cameron pressure washed a good chunk of the house, in addition to our decks and patio. And I cleaned off all the outdoor furniture and bird feeders, and we just got the yard all set up for the warmer weather. Now we just need to get that warmer weather on a more consistent basis. It is still too cold to get flower planters. It gets too cold overnight still, but that within a few weeks I should be able to get those and add some color to the outdoors. We both really love this time of year when we can start doing more living outside than inside. And other than that, I've started watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. I grew up in a hockey household. My dad watched hockey all the time. But it's just not something I generally have done, except sometimes when it's playoffs. And the Vancouver Canucks are in the playoffs at the moment. They've had a really, really good year, the best in a long time. And so I thought I would jump on the bandwagon and cheer them on. So they won their first game, and then they lost their second game last night to the Nashville Predators. But here's hoping they can turn things around and make it into the next round of the playoffs. So crossing fingers for that. I probably will not continue to watch the playoffs once or if they get knocked out, but I'm hoping that I can watch all the way to the Stanley Cup. I think it was early 90s the last time that they got into the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they've never won the Stanley Cup, so that would be quite the accomplishment. So yes, crossing fingers and toes, arms, legs, anything it takes. I think that is it for this episode, except for something good. Now, obviously, my mother-in-law turning 99 is something good. We also had a new addition to our family. I had a great nephew born recently, and there is another on the way this summer. So welcoming new members of the family is also good. And then I am really happy because the goldfinches have returned. When I cleaned all the bird feeders and refilled them, I also put out, I have a special feeder that has finch food in it. And it's designed for finches to feed at. The little holes are smaller, and it has a bright yellow top to it. And within a couple of days of putting it out, the goldfinches were there. So they always make me happy. They're just so bright and cheerful. So yes, lots of good things happening. Lots to be grateful for, as always. Including all of you. So I am grateful for you watching. I am grateful for your interaction in terms of leaving comments and thumbs ups and participating in the make-alongs. So thank you for that. I hope you have a great next couple of weeks, and I should be back to talk with you then. Just thinking, depending on when we record the weaving lesson, you may see that video go up too. So keep an eye out for that. If you subscribe and press the bell for notifications, then you won't miss any episodes. So yes, thanks for watching this episode, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now.